أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإذ نجيناكم من آل فرعون يسومونكم سوء العذاب يذبحون أبناءكم ويستحيون نساءكم وفي ذلكم بلاء من ربكم عظيم وإذ فرقنا بكم البحر فأنجيناكم وأغرقنا آل فرعون وأنتم تنظرون وإذ واعدنا موسى 40 ليلة ثم اتخذتم العجل من بعده وأنتم ظالمون الحمد لله رب العالمين. This is from Surah Al-Baqarah. Got the ayah number, but what does Allah say? وَإِذْ نَجَّيْنَاكُم مِّنْ آلِ فِرْعَوْنَ يَسُومُونَكُمْ سُوءَ الْعَذَابِ. And when we saved you from Fir'aun, who was humiliating you from a humiliating punishment. يذبحون أبناءكم ويستحيون نساءكم. And he was slaughtering the sons and letting the women live and forcing them to lose their haya. And this was what Fir'aun was doing. So Allah says, remember when I saved you from that. And in وَفِي ذَلِكُمْ بَلَاءٌ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ عَظِيمٌ. And this was a huge test from your Lord. The next ayah says, وَإِذْ فَرَقْنَا بِكُمُ الْبَحْرَ فَأَنْجَيْنَاكُمْ وَأَغْرَقْنَا آلَ فِرْعَوْنَ وَأَنْتُمْ تَنْظُرُونَ. That when Allah split the sea, وَإِذْ فَرَقْنَا بِكُمُ الْبَحْرَ, we split the sea for you, and وَأَغْرَقْنَا آلَ فِرْعَوْنَ, and drowned the people of Fir'aun, وَأَنْتُمْ تَنْظُرُونَ, while you were able to see and watch them drown. These ayahs are in Surah Al-Baqarah, and they detail some of the things with Bani Israel, but why are we mentioning it today? The reason why we're mentioning it today is because these ayahs are actually tied to this day, which is technically, since it's after Maghrib, it is the 10th of Muharram. And the 10th of Muharram, there's lots of facts and fiction, and unfortunately, there's a lot more fiction rolling around than fact. So a lot of fiction, a lot of things that are not true about the 10th of Muharram. That growing up, and that's just been spread around in the atmosphere and in the communities, TMOA especially, that is not true. And so today, in honor of the 10th of Muharram, we'll try to do a few things. One is to remind the people of what the 10th of Muharram actually is. What's the significance in Islam, from Islamic perspective, not from someone's made up ideas or dreams, but from what Allah says and what Rasulullah says. And then also dispel some of the myths and the wrong understandings, the wrong actions, the wrong beliefs, and ideas about the 10th of Muharram. So with that being said, one moment please. With that being said, we will start with the wrong things. The wrong things that are thought, said, and believed about the 10th of Muharram. Why? We start with the wrong things because if we start with what is correct, what is right, understanding, that's good. But if we don't know what's right, there's no harm per se. There's no harm, but for believing and understanding and acting upon wrong information, bad information, incorrect information, then that can be harmful for us. So we try to remove the harm first. So the 10th of Muharram, what is it not? The 10th of Muharram is not a day in which we mourn. We don't mourn the death of anyone. Okay, this is not a day of mourning. And it also is not a day of celebration. There's people on both sides who take this day as a day of Eid, a day of celebration, and they celebrate and things like that, as far as wanting some sort of religious or a reward from Allah. This is not acceptable. It's not correct. It is not a day of celebration, and it is not a day of mourning. Okay, so that what we should know. It's not a day in which anybody should be beating or harming themselves or making themselves to bleed or cutting themselves and things like this, which you have some groups of people who do that. This is not allowed. It's not correct. And it's not part of Islam in any way. It's actually punishable for you. Allah will punish you for doing these things because they are not part of the religion. If you're doing they're without a doubt, they're an innovation, one of the more extreme innovations. So stay clear and far away from these things. It's not a day of mourning. It's not a day of celebration. It's not a day of beating and attacking and harming, self-harming yourself. Don't do this. So what is it? What is it? The day, the 10th of Muharram. What is it? So the ayahs that I recited earlier from Surah Al-Baqarah, this was when the Bani Israel were saved from Fir'aun. Allah split the sea for them and they were saved. This was on the 10th of Muharram. And when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Sahaba arrived in Medina, and one of the things that the Yahud, the Jews, were doing was they were fasting on the 10th of Muharram. And one of the reasons why the reason why they were fasting, because they took this day as a special day and they fasted on the 10th of Muharram in commemoration of Musa alayhi salam and how Allah saved Musa and the Bani Israel from Fir'aun on that day. So this is the significance. The significant event on the 10th of Muharram is this: when Allah split the sea for the Bani Israel and Musa alayhi salam and saved them from Fir'aun. This is the reason. So there's people make songs and poems and all types of things about the 10th of Muharram, and they're passionate about it and everything, but they're not even commemorating it in a way that Allah has legislated and Rasulullah has legislated. As we'll see, as Rasulullah said, when the Yahud were fasting on that day, Rasulullah said, what to the companions? We have, as Muslims, we have more right to Musa alayhi salam and to thank Allah and to commemorate on this day. So we will not only fast on the 10th of Muharram, but Rasulullah said, if I'm alive next year, which he passed away before the next year came, but he said, if I'm alive next year, I will fast not only the 10th, but the 9th and the 10th. To do what? To do two things. To show that we are distinct, we're different from the Yahud, different from the Jews, and the other thing was that we're better. So this is one of the flavors and one of the things that you can understand about Islam. Islam has not come to be the same and to show that our beliefs and everything is similar or the same or compatible with every other religion. Islam shows the distinction between us and everyone else. We are the standard of which every other religion should be aspiring to reach, and to reach a level of tawheed and a level of worshiping Allah alone. So we are the standard that we set. So Rasulullah said, we're not just going to fast one day. We're not going to fast one day like the Yahud and commemorate what Musa and the Bani Israel being saved from Fir'aun by Allah. No, we're going to fast both days. So this is the commemoration. This is the most significant event in the history of the 10th of Muharram, as far as we know, and Allah knows best. But this is the most significant thing. This is the most significant thing that happened. Full stop. Allah split the sea for Bani Israel. Rasulullah acknowledged that fact and even gave us some ibadah to do on that day. He didn't tell us to write poems and songs about some other event. He did not tell us to beat ourselves. He didn't tell us to celebrate. He didn't tell us to mourn. Told us to fast on that day, the 10th of Muharram, and actually It's even better if you fast the 9th and the 10th, or the 10th and the 11th. So this is the 10th of Muharram, in which we should be acknowledging. So the elephant in the room per se is what people are doing on the 10th of Muharram. That is, it's not as bad as, and Allah knows best, it's not as bad as people beating and cutting themselves, or mourning, or celebrating like some sort of happy occasion of the disaster that happened at Karbala. But still, the events leading up to and the martyrdom of Hussein radiallahu anhu and his family was something that's very significant. Um, but this is not the there's a lot of misconceptions about this. So we'll try to go through a few of these and try to put it to bed, hopefully. I mean, it's been going on for hundreds of years, if not more. So, Allah knows best when it'll be put to bed. But here is the facts of the matter. Um, Number one, we do not mourn the martyrdom of Al Hussein. We don't. We're not mourning the martyrdom of Al Hussein. Why? Um, he was martyred, yes, and it's an honor actually for him that Allah, chose him to be one of the martyrs. It's not a thing, and even if we look at all the people, let's go take a trip through history. So Al Hussein was martyred, okay, and his family in an event that was um, tragic. It was terrible what happened. He was deceived and misled and set up. Actually, he was set up, but um, it was not some he wasn't on some sort of mission at what people make it out to be, as in he sacrificed himself like they try to say Jesus died for our sins, is this type of thing. This is a Shia concept, like he sacrificed himself, or he knew that he was going to be killed. He did it. Actually, if we go really quickly through the history, he was invited, okay, invited and called to come uh to become the leader. First of all, Yazid was the son of Muawiyah. Okay, historically speaking, he was not known to be some great overly religious person. Um, he was a tabi'i. He was not a sahaba. Yazid was not a sahaba, uh, but he was the khalifa. His father Muawiyah gave him the rulership, the title, and so he became the Khalifa after his father. And no one is pretending that he was great by any means. I don't think anyone would say that he was a great one of the great Khalifas in Islamic history. And a lot of people were not happy with his rule. Okay, so they wanted Al Hussein to become the leader, and they wrote letters to him. They asked him. They basically begged him to come and be the leader. So he decided to do that and took his family with him. They claim made a lot of claims of support and help and everything for him to do so. Uh, when he set out, many, and I'm not going to go into the whole details of all the history. Many Sahaba, including Abdullah ibn Umar, Abdullah ibn Abbas, and many other Sahabas told him, "Don't do it. Don't go. Don't trust these people. They're not trustworthy. Don't do it." They advised him against it, crying with tears in their eyes. Don't go. Don't trust them. Okay, so still, even though many of the Sahaba who were senior to him told him, "Don't go," he still went. He made his ijtihad and he decided to go. Now, the thing is, a lot of there was a lot of politics going on. Yazid in Damascus, okay, and um, uh, the situation in Kufa and in Iraq, There was a distance there. So Yazid wasn't on the phone or on a live stream, putting out what people to do. So you have to understand this. This is not what he was doing. He was not getting any information in real time. And this is something that, for some reason, when I've heard people tell this story, and it's as if like he was on a live stream somewhere, or he was, sitting on a hill watching everything transpire. This is not the case. Yazid was the ruler. He wanted to maintain his rule. He instructed his governors and his people that he did not want Hussein and his family to be harmed, but he did not want him to succeed in being able to overthrow him. He did not want to be overthrown. So this was the Yazid's motivation, and his methodology was he wanted to stop him. So, long story short, there were two people, and I don't remember their names exactly, and I'm not going to try to butcher them, but there were two people who were governors or people who were in Yazid's administration that were vying for position and a higher rank and power. And they were hungry for power, position, fame, whatever the case may be. And they were in competition with each other to not only please Yazid, but be the one who was, basically trying to be the guy who, did the best job or whatever, or they wanted some recognition. So, and there's many other details in it. His Hussein radiallahu anhu's cousin was sent before, and they killed him actually before he came. He didn't know. He sent his cousin ahead, right, to set the scene in the city to make sure everything was good. They actually found out, killed him, assassinated him, threw him off of a high tower, a building. Okay, killed him. Okay, and Hussein is marching the whole way, and doesn't even know. So this is the thing. These things, Yazid didn't have this information in real time. Al Hussein didn't have the information in real time of what was actually going on. But in trying to get to the point of the matter is that the main players involved in the martyrdom of Al Hussein was not Yazid. Yazid was trying to maintain his power, but it actually was some low level people who were hungry for power, and in competing with each other, they made some moves that were not the best. Then there were soldiers, the rank and file, and people who actually were enemies of Islam. Not only were they enemies of Islam, but they were also just munafiqs and people who they wanted to kill Hussein and his family. These were people who were just amongst the Muslims, and they wanted to start fitna. And these types of people had been doing this thing in other battles and other times where the Muslims had some sort of conflict. These types of people were present. So when Al Hussein was confronted by these people and stopped at Karbala, okay, he told them, "You people, I'm not going to surrender to you." He wasn't saying he wasn't going to surrender to Yazid. Yazid wasn't there. Yazid was not there. He did not have a camera. He did not know anything about this. He told them he did not want Hussein to be able to get a power base and then attack and beat him. This is what he did not want to happen. That's it. So the thing is, these other low level people, and then their foot soldier, whatever, is the people who did the deed. So what he told them when they stopped them and basically surrounded them and laid siege to them at Karbala, what Al Hussein said was he wanted to do one of three things. He didn't say, "Oh, I know I'm going to be killed and I'm going to sacrifice myself and just die here." He said, either A, let me go to Yazid. I will go straight to him by myself. I'm not taking any army with me. I'm just going to take me and my family. We're going to go straight to Yazid, talk to him or whatever. That's it. They said, "No, you're going to surrender and be arrested by us, and we are going to, basically take you in chains." I'm not going to, you people. No, I'm not going to submit to you. I will go to the ruler, to rule. I will talk to Yazid myself. I'll go with him and take my family, but no, not to you, riffraff or people, whatever. So the second option that Al Hussein gave them was that um, he said, then just let me go back to back home, and I'll go back home and just be an ibid, a worshiper, and live out my life there, and I won't, I won't, even entertain these things anymore, because he realized, all the people who said they were his supporters or whatever, they deserted, before, by the time the everything hit the fan, basically, he showed that they were fake anyway. So he was like, okay, the second option, I can't go straight to Yazid. They said, no, we're not gonna let you. Okay, the second thing, just let me go back home. They said, no, we're not gonna let you go back. And the third thing option, he said, okay, let me go to the front lines of the jihad, where the battle is the fiercest in the front line, and I will just fight until I die in jihad. And they refused to let him do that. So he asked for three options. They refused all of them. Basically, they wanted to humiliate him. They probably, Allah knows best, if they would have killed him anyway. Um, but because some of the people within the army, no doubt, uh, Yazid did not tell them to do this, but some of the people, no doubt, in the uh, army were, they wanted to kill Hussein, and they were munafiqs and kuffar, and people that were within the ranks of the Muslims, okay, at the time. But the point is that he offered them three options. They refused all of them, and they wanted to take him and basically humiliate him. So he refused. So they decided to fight. So they fought, and Al Hussein and his family, a lot of them were martyred. Yazid did not order Hussein's execution. Yazid did not take a stick and beat on Hussein's head, his severed head, or something like that. He did not do that. He did not have his head delivered uh, to his palace, and play soccer with it, and all this made up stuff. The sky was not did not the first time the sky turns red, like before Maghrib when it turns red, was not on Karbala. Okay, this was made up. Lots of made up things about, uh, the martyrdom of Al Hussein, and some things that allegedly happened or whatever. This stuff is made up. Most of this stuff comes from the Shia, and it's not true. It's opposite of the. It's actually opposite of the it's the opposite of what is actually historical facts. The stuff is opposite of a hadith and other accounts of the Sahaba. So, uh, in short, that's the deal with Al Hussein, and a more detailed stream or something like that. And there's plenty of actual detailed videos from historians and people like that on it. That if you really want the truth, you can look at and see that a lot of this Shiite stuff is wrong. But and Hussein was advised by many of the senior Sahaba not to do, not to go on a mission, not to trust the people that were offering him the support. Those Sahaba turned out to have been 100% correct, because those people were deceitful and they were not trustworthy, and they pulled their support, and he was set up, and what they feared would happen actually happened to him. Al Hussein did not try to sacrifice himself. He wanted to leave, actually. He wanted to either go back home, go to Yazid himself, or go to the front lines of jihad. They denied all those things for him. But the last thing that we can cover is the fact that this assumption, or not assumption, it comes from the Shia, that Al Hussein, they worship Hussein. Actually, some of them, they worship Hussein, and they think that he's better than all the other Sahaba, and many other things. But this is just not true. And we don't mourn the death of Al Hussein, the martyrdom of Al Hussein, any more than we mourn any of the other Sahaba. And there were many that were martyred. I mean, let's look at some of the Sahaba through history. So Al Hussein, okay, was martyred, and the situation was tragic, but he was honored by Allah to be one of the shuhada. His brother Al Hassan was better than him. His brother Al Hassan was better than him. Al Hassan is considered to be one of the um, And they even say that he is one of the righteous khulafa, because for a time Al Hassan was the Khalifa, okay, for about 6 months, I believe, and he abdicated his ruler, his authority, and gave to Muawiyah to settle, any sort of disputes. But he is considered, because the one of the hadiths of Rasulullah says that it would be 30 years, I believe, 30 years of uh, uh, or righteous rulers, you know, um, that were really doing it in the way that Rasulullah wanted them to do it. Um, and there was Abu Bakr first, then Uthman. I mean, then Umar, then Uthman, then Ali, and then his son Al Hassan. Those five was a 30-year span. Um, and so Al Hassan is considered to be one of those righteous khulafa. He's one of them. So Al Hassan is better than Hussein. Okay, they're both. May Allah be pleased with both of them. But Al Hassan, of the two, Al Hassan is by consensus better. Only the Shia believe that Hussein is better than Al Hassan. So Al Hassan, what happened to him? He was martyred. He was poisoned and he was stabbed. He was poisoned and stabbed to where his even he his where he even saw that his intestines were hanging out, and he was trying to play and go to the bathroom and things, and even things that was really gruesome what happened to him. But Al Hassan was martyred in a tragic way. He was deceived and set up, and he was martyred. And Al Hassan is better than Al Hussein, and nobody is setting up the mournings and commemorations and all these things. This over exaggeration of the day of the martyrdom of Al Hussein is manufactured by the Shia and the extreme Sufis, the deviant Sufis, are like this two peas in a pod with the Shia. They just follow whatever they do. They. So the thing is, Al Hassan is better than Al Hussein, and we don't have some sort of day of mourning or commemoration or anything for the martyrdom of Al Hassan. Okay, so let's take it a step further. The father of Al Hassan and Al Hussein, the father of both of them, Ali radiallahu anhu, is better than both of them. He's better than them by consensus. By consensus, as far as Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah is concerned, Ali radiallahu anhu is better than both of his sons. They're not better than their father. He's a better and more righteous and has a higher status among the Sahaba than his two sons. He's better than them. What happened to him? He was killed. He was martyred. He was murdered during Ramadan on his way to Fajr. On his way to Fajr Salah, he was killed, murdered, stabbed. And I believe they stabbed him in the head. Anyway, he died, was one of the shuhada. He was murdered, and he's better than both of his sons, and there's no day mourning or commemorating his martyrdom. We can take it a step further. Uthman radiallahu anhu was murdered. They surrounded his home, laid siege to his home, cut off I think even his wife's hand was cut off trying to protect him when these munafiqs and kuffar, pretending to be Muslims, broke into his home, laid siege to his compound, and they killed him. They martyred him, slaughtered him while he was reading the Quran. His blood spilled onto the Quran. And he, by consensus of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, is better than Al Hussein, better than Al Hassan, better than Ali radiallahu anhum. He's, by consensus, is better and higher ranking Sahaba than those three. And there's no day of mourning and commemoration and sadness for Uthman. And he was murdered. He was martyred in a tragic way. Should we keep going? I think we know where this is going to. Umar radiallahu anhu, who by consensus is better than Uthman, and he's better than Ali, and he's better than Al Hassan, and he's better than Al Hussein by consensus. Omar. And I think it goes without saying. If you know anything about Islam, you know how much Omar was honored by Allah and by the Messenger of Allah, and how many ahadith and how many even ayahs of Quran that are confirming Omar's rank and status. He was martyred. He was martyred. He was killed leading the Fajr Salah in Medina, stabbed and killed and martyred in a tragic way. Is there a day of mourning, of sadness, of sorrow, of beating yourself and for the great loss of Umar radiallahu anhu? No, there's no day for that. Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, he was not martyred. He died of a sickness. They say that he took a ghusl on a cold day, or on a day when he was already a little sick. But when he got even sicker after that, and he eventually died. He was not martyred, but he's better than all the people that we've mentioned before. I mean, this is by consensus, by the understanding of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. It's clear. There are many ahadith and even ayahs of Quran that are praising and acknowledging the rank and status of Abu Bakr. And there's no acknowledgement or mourning or anything special day set up for the day that he died. But he was not martyred as far as I know, and Allah knows best. But even before that, if we want to take it a step further, one step further, we can go one more step. And that is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who, I mean, is better than all of the people mentioned, every last one of them. I think we know he's better than all of them. Okay? He's better than them. And he was martyred. He was poisoned by a Jewish woman who we know the story. They offered him, some a leg of lamb, or lamb shoulder or lamb leg, one or the two. But he ate it. It was poisoned. They said that for the rest of his life, he felt the pain and the effects of that poison on him. Another companion was killed, who ate from that same meat, was killed. He was martyred by that same leg of lamb. Rasulullah, of course, he's stronger, and so he was able to live longer. But the ulama say that the effects of that poison is still lingered, and it actually had an effect on his death and killed him. So even Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who was martyred, okay, also was poisoned and martyred, even though it took a while for him to die. But he's better than all the people mentioned. And there's no day and commemoration and some mourning or some big to do about the day that he died. Actually, the people who have a wrong understanding, they actually, the 12th of Rabi al-Awwal, I believe, is the day that they say. I can't even remember when the alleged milad is supposed to be, but the actual day that they celebrate is the day that Rasulullah died. And it's like one of the ways that the enemies of Islam, they use it to make fun of the Muslims who are already innovating and celebrating the milad and doing this when it's not something that was legislated. None of the companions did. None of Rasulullah didn't do it, didn't command us to do it. There's no reward for it. But the sad thing is they think they're commemorating his birthday, but they're doing all the celebrating and dancing and cooking and having a feast and having a Eid on the day that he actually died. But they don't even know it. They think it's the day that he was born, or that I actually know that based on the math, based on the pure calculation, the fact of the matter is he died on that day. But they said, well, we're just saying it is his birthday. And so they're like, whatever. They actually don't know. There's no way of knowing when he was born. And Allah kept that hidden, and there's wisdom behind that. But the point is, there is no actual, from their own perspective, they're not celebrating the day that or they're not mourning or having some sort of special event or something on the day that Rasulullah died. Why for Al Hussein? I'll tell you, because the Shia embellished and made up things about him, and it's a way to get you to commit shirk. It's a one step away. He was one of the great Sahaba and companions, and he is a descendant, a direct descendant of uh, Ali radiallahu anhu, who is a great companion. He's the son of Fatima radiallahu anha, who is the daughter of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and for that we give him the utmost respect and honor. But by consensus, he's not better than Al Hassan or his father Ali or anhum. He's not better than Uthman or Umar or Abu Bakr or Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And we don't do these things for their deaths, for their martyrdoms as of Abu Bakr. So why are we doing it for Al Hussein? It's a scheme, it's a trap, it's a setup set by Shaitan and some of the enemies of Islam and the Shia to get you to do things that are not legislated in Islam, to get you away from the main point of this day. The main point of the 10th of Muharram, as we come full circle, is that it is a day in which we are supposed to be fasting, okay? As was instructed by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to fast on the 9th and the 10th. Okay, fast the 10th for sure, and fast on the 9th and 10th, or the 10th and the 11th, to commemorate what was done, Allah saving the Bani Israel and saving Musa alayhi salam, an acknowledgement, and that, and hopefully we also get some benefit, and Allah will save us from the things that are plaguing us in a similar way, because we have the things that maybe are plaguing us in the Muslim world, or us individually, where we have an issue, we have problems, we have things that we want Allah to help us with, to save us from, to help us to overcome. And so therefore, just like Allah split the sea for them, He can split the sea for us in our issues, our problems. And this is part of that commemoration. It's an act of ibadah. We look at what Allah did for the Bani Israel and Musa alayhi salam, and we hope that we can get something similar with the issues that we have in our lives, in our times. So we fast on the 9th and the 10th, and remembering Allah and what He did for them. And Rasulullah also says, to the person who fasts on the 10th of Muharram, fast on this day. Not you write poems and sing songs and tell lies and tales. The sky turned red and it's been red like that ever since. It was never red before. This is made up, these things. No, that you fast on these days. And that if you fast on the 10th of Muharram, and like I said, you should fast the 9th and the 10th, or the 10th and 11th, to make yourself better and distinct from the Jews who fast on the 10th, that Allah will forgive and wipe away your sins for the previous year. So this is what we should be told. This is what we should be reminded of. This is from the authentic sunnah and from Allah, in which what we should be doing so that we can get a reward. Not all this other stuff that's only going to get us a punishment. So may Allah allow us to acknowledge, commemorate, and do the accepted and the praiseworthy acts of ibadah on these days, so that Allah will forgive our sins. And just like how He helped the Bani Israel and Musa alayhi salam defeat their enemies and be saved and give them what they were making dua for, to do something similar for us. May Allah allow everyone to benefit and accept their worship, their ibadah on this day, and to allow us to leave the innovation, leave the shirk, leave the made-up fairy tales and fables, and actually practice authentic Islam, so that Allah will accept it from us. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun, wa salamun ala al-mursalin, walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.